but this is Darren Redmond, and I got to tell you, this is a name only to call it again for the first time. This is my buddy. This is my pal. I'm going to show you something. This is called a cigar.
Cigar tube.
There it is. Yeah, cigar tube. Technically, he's right. I'm a moron. Anyway, I am talking to what I believe to be the best color commentator in the USPHL, and he does it now for years for the Fresno Monsters, and not just for the Monsters anymore. I mean, he's called showcases. He's called USPHL. How many years now? 2?
2 years now. Yep.
Yep, 2 years now. Brian Rivera is my special guest. He also does a great job covering the Fresno Grizzlies. And we talk about that a little bit before we go to talk about a little transition. Brian, I did not expect to be having this conversation this early in the playoff run for the Fresno Monsters. But before we get into that, how are you doing, my friend?
Hey, buddy, it's good to see you. I wish we weren't so on opposite coasts now.
I know, but remember,
it's
well, listen, every Saturday for years, you and I kind of, spent smoking cigars, hanging out. But the good news is we'll be going to Red Sox games together, right?
yeah. Hopefully, so I can put
that giant game got your ticket. That giant ticket got your name on it. You just got to get
here.
Here.
I got to get my taxes turned in so I can get out there.
Yes, we're going to be sitting in, right over the dugout. Excuse me, dugout over the bullpen. It's going to be great. Looking forward to it, and we have access to the Green Monster for batting practice. How great is that?
That sounds like fun to me.
Yeah.
I'm in.
I would love to be up there. Can't wait. And you and I go up. This is going to be great. So, talk to me. We all know by this point how the Fresno Monster season ended last night as we record this on March 9th. Talk about the whole season in general, the ups, the downs, as much as you can, and your experience covering the team.
It was really a record-breaking year for the Monsters. They ended up second overall in the USPHL Premier Division, and literally, I think 2 points out of being the top team in the whole league. So it was one of their best years statistically. They had a player who's aging out this year, scorer. He broke the franchise record for goals in a season.
Noah Pearson?
Noah Pearson. Mm-hmm. He broke the USPHL Premier record for goals in a season, for goals in a career.
Wow.
He ended up second in Fresno Monsters regular season history in points, just literally 3 points behind his coach this year, Dalen Mannon, at 147. And it was just really, he was much must watch hockey player.
Mm-hmm.
The way they talk about Connor McDavid and the things he does, you put Noah Pearson on that junior level at the same way. It was just, he was so dynamic all year long. It was really, really a treat to watch.
Where's he going next, do you think, in your mind? What level?
He doesn't want to play hockey anymore.
He's okay. No, okay, I get it.
I get it, but I don't understand it because
don't get me wrong, he'll regret it, but I get it.
Yeah, he wanted, he brought in a couple friends from Sweden with him to play this year, and they all had a great time, and they were all very productive. The friend he brought in ended up second in scoring. His line mate from last year ended up third in scoring. His defensive man that he brought in with him was 6th or 7th in team scoring. So it was a great year, and I'm kind of disappointed that he doesn't.
Oh, I am too.
Want to continue playing, because even if he doesn't want to go to college, I think that he could find a place to play professionally, whether over in one of the European leagues, it may be a low level here league in the United States. But I'm from one is to tell them to play until they want to take it off your back, because I made that mistake, and try to
You
push
made
it.
you seriously, you made that mistake and I made that mistake. I got an offer to go to Italy to play football and I turned it down. I'm done. And then I instantly regretted it.
Yep,
You, same thing. You thought
yep,
that the thing wasn't going to happen and ended up happening. And we
yep.
hate it. Years later, we still talk about it.
Sure, absolutely, and that's why I try to tell these boys. You know, I mean, I understand, but I really want you to spend 3, 4 days, well, a week, really thinking about your decision because you know, they want to go back and go to work, and maybe that's what they do in Sweden. After they get done playing junior hockey, that may be the culture. But for me, it's like you have the rest of your life to have a regular job, even
Oh
if you go
yeah.
play for 3 or 4 years, right? What's
Mhm.
different starting to work at 20 than at 25? Most places you still got to work to 65 anyway. So why start 5 years early?
It's so let's talk a little bit about Steve Longino. Most points for a defenseman with the Monsters ever. That must have been nice to see, right?
Yeah, yeah. He was another one. He was our top offensive defenseman this year. There were games that he was unstoppable. He could pick up the puck behind the net, weave through 3 or 4 guys, take it in, and find a shot and put it in the net. And then there's lots of times where he was the guy on the power play shooting the puck and getting it past the goalie. So I mean,
Any
the
idea
Monsters.
what any idea what he's going to do next?
Um, I think he wants to go to college. I haven't talked to
Oh,
him
nice.
that much. I heard that he wanted to stay local, maybe and play at Fresno State because he loves Fresno so much. So I don't know. I really haven't had a chance to talk with him.
And then before I'll let you talk about the year in general. Colby smashed the record for most games played, right?
Yes,
Didn't he start playing for the Monsters when he was 5? I think he was 6. Doesn't it
it
feel that
seems
way?
like it.
You
It
and I
seems like
remember him
it.
when he was like this big. I think he was
Yeah,
this big.
yeah. It seems like it. And I gave him crap all season long. Right?
Oh,
He's going,
he's
oh
a
yeah,
good man. He's a good man.
with 5 games left. I'm like, brother, I applaud you for sticking with it, but to me, that's not a record you want because
Right.
that means you can look at it many different ways. And for me, maybe he wanted to stay home and play local, and I get that. I would have done the same thing, but I don't know that I would have done enough to have that record. Because to me, that means like he. And I won't say it because I don't know the situation, but my
Right.
feeling is maybe he didn't push himself to get to the higher level. But and I
Right.
that's off the record.
Right. And that's no, 100%. And again, what we're both saying is for those of you listening, because or watching, because you can do both on this podcast, available anywhere and based in PSF app, in case you're wondering. He life choices could have been I need to stay home, right? I
Yeah,
mean it could
yeah,
be that simple sometimes. But you and I got itchy feet, right? We would have traveled. I love travel, you know.
yep,
Um, so obviously I've lived and breathed the Fresno Monsters for years, and I didn't get to experience that as much being here now in Cape Cod. Um, this year looked like it was going to be a banner year. It was my verbiage. Some people didn't like it. I looked at this year as unfinished business, right?
yep.
That's the way I would have coached it. That's the way I would have played it. I would have been in front of my skis on that. And for a while, it looked like that was the case. But again, how are we so talented and then spit the bit in the playoffs 2 years in a row?
I really think this year it started back in November. There was an incident that happened off the road, out on the road at a road
Mhm.
trip that really divided the team. And I think when push came to shove, I don't know that I won't say that desire wasn't there to
No,
win.
no,
Just
it caused chaos.
yeah, it just and then by the time it came to this end here, it was just like it was just too big to overcome.
Yeah,
I'll just leave it.
because I was shocked last week. I mean, Bakersfield was struggling, and I still say we because I'll forever be a Fresno Monster. Was struggling with Bakersfield? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that wasn't so much us struggling as it was the Saturday night wrestling tactics that Bakersfield used to take advantage of the Fresno Monsters.
But actually, that dovetails very nicely into something that and you let me know if you want to talk about it. Because it's obvious we struggle playing that kind of game. You know, the Gorilla Six, the Pier 6 brawl, guerrilla tactics.
Yeah.
But what I saw this past weekend against Ontario is, they knew everything we were going to do. We were
Yeah.
scouted, they knew, and we could not react. We just kept the same thing and hoped that it would work. And it unfortunately crashed and burned on us. I mean that,
Yeah.
and I keep saying us, but that's because I'll always be a Fresno Monster. But what I saw was Bakersfield seeing what we don't do well and tried it one way, and Ontario, much more talented, was able to exploit with some really good coaching and limit us. I mean, our defense did not look very good in these games.
No, and the thing was Bakersfield, and it wasn't they employed to shadow Noak Pearson all over the ice,
I
which
would I would have done the same thing.
I'm okay with shadowing, right? But when you're shadowing a guy, that doesn't mean you're sticking him in the stomach,
Agreed.
slash the back of the leg. The referee turns his head. You punch him in the back of the head. You slash him in the back of the leg. You cross check him all over the ice. That's not what shadowing is.
Right.
Shadowing is
Shadow.
you following him, make sure he doesn't get the puck.
Right.
Right? What they were employing last weekend, as far as I'm concerned, was a disgrace to what hockey has become compared to what it was. Now, if you wanted to do that back in the 90s when I played, I got it. But
Different game. But that's a different game. Yep,
we've
I get it.
been 30, we're 30 years past that.
Yep.
Shadow him correctly, right? Like we had other guys, players skating by, punched in the back of the head so hard, knocked him all the way to the ground. Referee not calling it. So what happens again? It happens again, right? Guys getting jabbed in the stomach with the stick, not being called, right? Scrubs along the boards, players coming in from behind, cross checking to the back of the head, not being called. Like the referee let them goon up the game so bad that it gave them a chance to win. And then this weekend, the coach must have spent from the time he woke up to the time he went to bed watching video, because it was just like you said and what you watched. They knew what we were doing before we knew what we were doing. And we did not make one set of adjustments.
I think that really doing the analysis of, and then I want to get back into talking about some of your strategy in the booth because you sounded as great as ever overall. But if you looked at the signs were there, I mean, we gave up way too many goals this year, way too many uncontested shots, way too many goals for a team. Because here's the thing: 5 years ago, 6 years ago, we were known as, when I would talk to people in my capacity, what I did with the Fresno Monsters, they called us a pinball machine. All offense, no defense. All offense, no defense. Cut down the middle, cut down the big passes. And you know what? It works. And at least for the last 2 years, we don't even make nationals. We don't even get out of our own division.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a disgrace.
I've mentioned to the players before, they don't realize how important, like Ontario this weekend, wherever we touch the puck, if there was a guy within 2 or 3 feet of him, of our guy, we were getting the body laid against us. all over the ice. In our defensive zone, in our neutral zone, in their defensive zone. Every time we touch the puck, they put a body on us,
Clean.
right? And as a player, after getting hit so many times, you're just not going to want to do anything. You're not going to want to touch the puck, or if you do touch it, you're just going to hot potato it along the way and just create more confusion with everybody. And you end up like the first period Thursday night, Ontario, because of the way they played 14 minutes of the 20-minute period in our zone.
Wow.
Just off of playing the body.
You can't blame you can't blame your goaltender at all on that. I mean, you
No,
can't.
our goaltender to me was the other one that came to play this weekend.
You know, being second overall, you know, in the league, the Premier League, and not making it to nationals, I'm sorry, it's unfinished business 2.0. I mean, I don't want to make anybody feel bad. It's just nonsense.
It's
I expect better out of the Monsters.
Yeah, it's not even unfinished business. It's just we just don't care enough. We don't have the pride in ourselves enough.
Yeah, so
you know, pride may be the wrong word, but
I know what you mean.
I'll tell it to you this way, right? The way I was raised, you played the game, win or lose, you keep your head up. If you hung your head after you lost, that means you're afraid to look your teammates in the eye because you
100%.
know that you didn't give it your best. The crying, the sulking, any of that is just letting everybody know you didn't give it your best effort, that you could have given more. Because if you would have given it your all, you can look them at the face and say that they were the better team.
That's right. That's right. Yep.
But when you had 3/4 of the kids after this loss looking down at the ground, tears in their eyes, no, that just to me, 3/4 didn't have it in them.
Well, listen, totally not the same thing. We'll go into details, but you know, today the team that I coach and has nothing to do with me. Trust me. You know, we won both our playoff games. Question. And you know what? Nobody even cheered at the end after winning the gold medal of the playoffs of this weekend until after handshakes.
Yeah,
I mean, you got to take some pride in yourself, pride in your team. I'm sorry to just dive, but I don't want to hear from these people that it's kids today. No, Ontario did it right. You know, my kids did it right. It's a personal choice these kids make that they don't care.
Yeah, I mean, Ontario it meant so much to Ontario. They celebrated like they won nationals. They threw their helmets in the air, they threw their gloves in the air, big old mass celebration at the end at the goalie. Like that's how much it meant to them. And we skated off the ice, shoulders slumped, head down, skated over to the bench, acting like we cared.
On the home ice.
On home ice.
Yeah. I mean, you know, and they're acting that way, meaning Ontario, because in a weird way, it's so respectful to Fresno because they know how hard it should be to beat them.
Yes. And like we were handily beat for 2 games, like we've never been beat before.
You know, it's interesting because I've been following sort of the post-Monster career of a bunch of players, specifically a few of them who played last year, and they're doing well. You know, they're doing so. Again, I don't know what the problem is. I use the word love, and I mean it. I love our owner, you know, but what are 3 things that you would change on this team if you were able to? If it was the B Riv team, the B Riv Monsters, what are 3 things? And then I'll go next.
I would you could make a coaching change. But my biggest thing, and I've stressed it, and I know we've talked about it for many years, is the two biggest D's that we struggle with: discipline and defense.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Right?
Yep.
We know what's the old cliche? Defense wins championships.
That's right. That's right.
Right? So
Mhm.
does it look good? We scored 300 and something goals this season. Wow, that's impressive. But we didn't even make it to the league finals.
Yep. Yep.
So
I mean,
what good to score 300 goals? I'll tell you what, Ontario, our biggest competitor, scored 100 goals less than us, gave up 20 goals less than us, and it shows.
100%. I mean, mine is DCD, and that's defense, right?
Yep.
And culture.
Yep.
Culture. The culture of this team needs to change.
Yep.
All right. And again, it's
Yep.
not that it's evil or bad, but it has to be about winning. It has to be about winning and winning as a team, not winning in the stat sheet, not look at me posing in front of a Cadillac. I mean,
Right. No,
it's
it's not.
nonsense.
Yeah, it's not winning on the scoreboard. It's, hey, we played this team. We're a top level team. We should be giving up less than 2 goals a game.
Yep.
We should be limiting team to under 20 shots a game, right? Hey, I'll tell you what, Darren, the Monsters had 40 shots total this weekend. We usually get 40 shots in 2 periods.
We've gotten, you and I have been working games where we've gotten 70 shots a game, 60 shots a game sometimes.
Right?
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah, and by the way, so it's DC and the other was discipline. I mean,
yep.
we need to be disciplined.
Yep.
In everything
and
we do.
We were better disciplined this year as far as taking costly penalties.
Yep.
We were much better this year with that.
Well, that's great.
But again, our defensive culture isn't there. We had 3 defensemen that wanted to carry the puck up the ice. And it's like, what is your job description? What is your positioning?
Mhm.
Defense. You want to get your points, you can get your points on the power play. You're blessed enough good enough to get on the power play. But your job is to protect the front of the net, protect the slot, get the puck, put it on the winger or the center stick, and get your job done and play the body.
Well, I mean, look, we had a guy last year who was doing that, and it was scratched in the playoffs, and I don't know.
Yeah, like I just and a lot of it this year too is we have a goalie. He wears the biggest pads on the ice, and every time we turn around, there's a defenseman standing right on top of his crease, screening him, giving up shots because the guy's 4 to 6 feet in front of him, where you should be covering him. Instead, he's shooting the puck from there. Like we just have no structured discipline to make us. We were easy to play against. I counted in 1 minute of last night's game before our mid-period break. Ontario touched the puck 6 times, right, in their own zone. We didn't have one body check. We touched the puck in our zone, in our defensive zone, 4 times. They had 7 hits.
Wow.
Right? And we couldn't get the puck out of the zone. What does that tell you?
Yep.
Where's that? The proof is in the pudding.
Yep. Yeah. And they have an extended offseason to think about it.
Yep. The thing is, though, most of these kids, 3 or 4 days, 2 weeks, they're not gonna think about it because they're gonna be moving on to something else.
They'll move on to something else, and yeah.
The person that's got to sit with, that has to sit with it, is the person that right now we know is going to come back next year. And how bad does it sit with him to see if he makes changes over the summer going into next year, and that's the coach and the
That's right.
ownership.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. I mean, listen, it has to change. It
Yeah,
has to change
it does.
because I don't care how many, listen, I don't care how many goals you score. I don't care how many points you get if you STB in the playoffs.
Yeah,
You know, you got listen, you got to get out of your conference. You got to make the national tournament,
yeah.
or else the season's a
If you're
failure. And by the
if
way, you have an incredibly loyal, wonderful fan base. You know,
you for two, Darren, you would not believe how quiet Gateway Ice Center was for 2 games this weekend. You could hear a mouse. You could hear a pin drop on the rubber floor. That's how quiet it was.
it's a shame.
Because everybody was in shock going, what monster team is on the ice right now?
Mhm.
What is this team?
You know, I'll say you don't have to say it obviously, but I'll say it. You probably weren't shocked. You know, John English
Nope.
probably wasn't shocked. You were probably disappointed, but not shocked.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
So tell me about your year in the booth. You guys, especially you never sounded better. You know, walk about how was it this year?
This year, we it's funny that you bring it up. We got in trouble last weekend for our commentary about the hockey game, and I'll leave it at that. We crossed the line numerous times intentionally
Mhm.
because that's how bad it was.
Right.
Um, and when we got noticed, we got in trouble this week. It was like, oops, but it was like, is the ownership going to be mad, right?
Right. Right.
And then when you talk to ownership, they're like, no, you guys were completely right. We're not worried about it. And I'm like, well, are you going to contest what they've sent to us? He's like, no, I'm just going to deal with it and get it over with. He goes, but he goes, I'm not mad at you guys.
I'm, well,
Oh,
I'm not surprised ownership wasn't. Let's put it that way. Because
yeah. And so we had a little bit of a dynamic change this year. Um, I'm not sure you know, but Brian Anthony, our normal
yep,
public events announcer for the games, has been battling
the
some
situation.
disease, right?
Mhm.
Some
Mhm.
sickness for the better part of a year now. And so there were a few games that, there were quite a few games that he missed. And our third person in the booth with us, Cole Mulaney, ended up going down and having to do the announcing. So a few of the series, it was just John and I, and John's a great play-by-play guy.
Mhm.
He does a wonderful job. And, I had to step in and fill in for him a couple of times because he's had prior engagements with his job and family stuff, and totally understood.
Stupid
And
responsibility getting in the way.
yeah, and but I thought we worked towards the end of the year. We worked on some new fun things that we're going to add to next year's broadcast.
Love it.
So we're working on uh, interviewing players during warmups, doing some intermission interviews, some post game player interviews on the ice with the mic, so the whole arena can hear.
That'd be great.
Uh,
And the Fresno fans would love that because they're such a loyal fan base. That place is rocking and packed.
yeah, and Jeff's going to work. Our ownership is going to work on a new intro to the start of our broadcast. He's had one for the better part of a year now, showing us out in the community some game clips and stuff like that. He's going to add to that to make it a little bit better. And so I'm really kind of looking forward to next year in the broadcast booth because to see those changes and really, just like we've done as an organization on the ice, push the rest of the division to get better. We're leading the charge in the Pacific Division to make the broadcast better.
By far, let me tell you something. I'm not just saying it because I'm a homer, because of us working together at the Fresno Monsters and everything. I've seen it here. I've seen it a lot of different places now. They got great hockey here. But when it comes to broadcast, Fresno Monsters do it better than most, if not all. At this level, nobody does it better.
Yeah, I mean at the end of last year, the end of last series against Bakersfield, the USPHL has put on their social media our goals for our game-winning goals, our series-winning goals, an overtime goal.
Yep.
They use our broadcast as part of their advertising. So
I went to
I don't see that from the league.
I went to a I won't say where. I went to USPHL game this year, one of a few. Different different arenas, different bars. And this was a very, very good team. And so I had to go see the whole setup and I mean, you would have thought it was like two strings and a soda can. I mean, it's not nearly what we do. No
Yeah,
instant replay, nothing, no commercial,
yeah,
nothing.
yeah. We have an instant replay machine now. We just got a new soundboard that's got 14 different connections, so we can add up microphones everywhere to whoever, you know.
Mhm.
It's starting to really become a professional gig, and it's pretty
Dude, it
cool.
is. It is.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So how do you defrag? How do you like? What is your protocol postseason? A couple of weeks you do nothing, and then get yourself ready for Fresno Grizzlies. What is your protocol?
Yeah, Fresno Grizzlies are starting in, I think, on like April 9th, so about a month from now.
Which means you're starting about April 9th.
Yeah, I know that they are trying to set their media days for right at the end of March or early, first week of April, talking with their media staff there. Um, right now, the Fresno Monsters right now are kind of really the last thing on my mind. The season's over for me. I'm not gonna watch any more junior hockey. I won't even care who wins the Premier title.
Right.
Uh,
You're ready for the Fresno Grizzlies. And
well,
you,
that
and the Giants and the Avalanche.
yeah. Well, I'm more curious about the Avalanche. We made some quite interesting trades this week, and I'm not so sure how they're going to turn out. So I want to watch the next few games on that one. But what's really starting is my niece is starting to play softball this week. So I'm coaching that. So I'm going to kind of start focusing on coaching some youth sports.
You know something? It's a great line from Rocky 3. I just thought of what Mickey says to Rocky. Remember the line? And this is you. You know, the worst thing in the world that can happen to a fighter is they get civilized. Brian, you're getting civilized. You
Yeah,
you you know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah.
No, that's good. So what are you going to coach?
8 under youth softball.
Oh, that's awesome. That's
Yep,
awesome.
girls softball. So it's going to be
Hey, I love it.
sent out a team chat last week, and I got 3 or 4 girls that never played softball before. So it's going to be it will be right up my alley because, as you know, we talk all the time. What's the most important thing? The fundies, right? The fundamentals.
Got fundies,
And,
fundies,
that,
fundies.
and
Yeah.
that's what I want to instill in these kids. I want to instill the basic fundamentals that they can have a nice solid base to something if that's something that they want to continue. And it goes for hockey too. I would take a few
100%.
weeks off. I know the youth program is in state or league playoffs this week, and if they're successful, they'll have state playoffs in a couple weeks. But a month or 6 weeks from now, I'll probably be getting back on the ice, giving lessons at the ice rink too.
That's great. I love
I
it.
also started help coaching Glenn Hines. He's got an adult practice at 8 o'clock, or about 8 o'clock on Saturday mornings. I've gone out there the past 4 or 5 weeks, starting to help those guys. I'm offering my help to those guys for private lessons as well because
Does Glenn age, by the way?
What's that?
Does Glenn ever age?
It doesn't seem like it. He still looks the same as from when he was my first coach back in 1980.
Right. He just, oh, and by the way, since we're swapping these stories, a little inside baseball. I don't know if you've seen, I also do a thing called If This Movie Was a Meal. It's
Yep.
actually gone pretty well. And I just joined forces with our mutual friend DJ. And she's going to do it as well from home for things that are on like Netflix, any streaming services. So she just did the first one tonight.
That's cool.
Yeah, so that's fun. So we're all keeping busy, which is great. And
Yep.
so we'll go to Red Sox game together, and hopefully maybe something else. We got to find a way to also do Cape Cod League. We got to do that.
Oh, absolutely, I'm definitely down for that one.
Yep. But even worst case, when you come for the when is the Red Sox Giant game? Is it in May? I forget.
I think it's like first week of May, I think.
Yeah, because that's what I mean. It's not during Cape Cod League, but we'll take drive around the fields at least.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But so real quick, your Avalanche. You mentioned trades. You're going to wait and see. How are your Avalanche looking going into the playoffs? Not talking about any injuries, and how my Rangers looking?
Both teams are looking really good.
Yeah,
both teams are looking really good. Colorado needs to find a suitable backup goaltender.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the trade line just passed on Friday, so it's going to have to come from within. And there's a kid that's been playing in the American League, Eustace Annunen.
Mm-hmm.
He's pushing to get that backup spot, maybe
Nice.
even the spot. But we've got your former goaltender Georgiev.
Yep.
And he's done a hell of a job for us.
Dude, I told you from the jump, he's a very good goalie.
Yeah. So, but right now we just need a capable backup in case he falters the injury or needs a break because he is playing a lot of games right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so we just need that capable backup that can step in and keep the flow going. I know we were up right against the cap as far as addition of players. So we had some addition by subtraction. I'm not too happy with them letting go of Bowen Byram. He was one of our better defensemen, but he's up for a big contract because he's a solid player.
Right.
So it would be tough to put him, even though the salary cap is going up by a few $1 million, it was going to be tough to sign him for a long term. So they got some depth players for him to help fill in, and that's kind of where they've been lacking on the bottom six as well. So they've had like again some depth in some stronger stay-at-home defensemen that are physical, which is good, and some stronger players up the middle that can help chip in offensively, but play solid defense.
So my one Ranger question before I let you go is, everybody's saying nice things about this kid Rupies. He's very respectful to the other fighters in the league, but somebody needs to tell this kid that you don't have to fight everybody. Too many fights in 1 week. My gosh.
Disagree.
I don't agree.
You see, that's exactly.
But agree. You are correct.
Yes. See, so someone must have heard you. So
yeah.
Sorry.
I mean, does it look bad that he's walking around with his eyes?
He's done well in every tilt. When they say done well, he's very respectful both ways.
And it looks like he's got an eye patch on because he's gotten. But he like you said, he's done well, and he's been the initiator for most of them.
It's 100%. 100%. No, yeah.
It's not like he's getting forced into doing it out of his own. He's doing it of his own free will.
Yep.
And quite frankly, if I was 6'7", 250 pounds, I would be pretty fearless too.
I'll tell you one thing, and I'm going to sound like a Ranger fan when I say this. but from somebody that's been in a couple of scrapes along the way, when he next year, if he's stays uninjured and knows what these guys do in the tilt, he's going to be really tough to beat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He's gonna be really tough to beat, but he's got to work. And I don't know how he's doing. I haven't heard too much about him offensively.
He has
Right.
one goal, bucket off his shoe.
Okay,
Bucket off his skate.
so he's gonna have to realistically, work on his offensive skills some and
100%.
try to emulate probably the best power forward, tough guy, whatever you want to call him, that everybody knows, and that's Bob Probert.
Right. Exactly
Right.
right.
Bob Probert, and then when he played for the Red Wings, he'd fight.
It was great.
He'd have 350 minutes of penalties, but he'd have between 20 and 30 goals every year.
Mhm.
And that's hockey was hockey was a little bit different back then. But I think if Rempe could get into that
I said
double
yeah.
goal, if he could get into that double-digit goal range,
Oh, that'd be
Yeah.
perfect.
that's going to be a great season for him.
My friend, it was so great talking to you.
It's great talking to you, man. I really miss you.
I miss you very, very much, man. Doing this on a Saturday night just feels kismet. It doesn't,
It feels right. The only thing we're missing is
Yes,
being outdoors looking at the stars.
yes,
And yep,
yeah. It's just enjoying ourselves.
absolutely.
So, my friend, I will see you when you get here. Giants, Red Sox, gonna be a great game.
I hope I can make it.
You will make it. We'll find a way.
Yep, I gotta get my taxes done. Maybe that'll help out.
We'll find a way. That's all I'll
Yep.
say. Be well.
Be well,
All right.
Darren. Thanks for talking.